Hey folks, Andy here as always. I hope you're fit and well. Right, this is what I am hoping is going to be the first in a bit of a series of videos called Into a Marshall, where I'm going to be running a bunch of pedals into the front of my JCM 800, gain set round about 6, so you've got a decent kind of crunch tone going into it. The reasoning behind it is that whenever I'm thinking about a new pedal, I'll go onto YouTube to find a demo, and nearly always that pedal is being run into a really squeaky clean blackface Fender or something like that, which is kind of okay for some things, but if you want to know if a delay is going to work into the front of a crunchy amp, it tells me absolutely nothing. So I've got a whole bunch of pedals I'm going to run through, just do some little tests, maybe do some comparisons as well, and see what happens when you run them into a Marshall. So I'm going to start off with this, and this is a Nobles. It is a mini version of the famous ODR1, which I'm constantly being told by videos is the secret weapon of Nashville studio aces. The reason that I am looking at this pedal, considering this pedal, is that I run my basic rhythm sound from my amplifier. I can't always turn the amplifier up quite as far as I would like to get it to the point where it's really kind of becoming fat and chewy and rich. So I have long wanted a pedal not to give me a high gain sound, but just to enable me to get my amp to sound right when I can't quite push it as hard as I would like to. The Nobles is renowned for having, it's got a control which is called Spectrum, is it? Yeah, Spectrum. And what this control does, rather than just being a tone control, it turns up the high end and turns down the lower mids whilst leaving the mid-range intact. As you turn the Spectrum control down, it flattens down the high end or turns down the high end and brings up the lower mids. So the idea is that you can thicken up or brighten up your sound, but actually leave the identity of your guitar and amp pretty much intact, which sounds exactly what I'm after. Now, the classic ODR1 is typically used by guys playing twangy tellies into Fenders, as far as I can make out. That's probably a massive oversimplification. They can get a little bit tubby when you put a humbucker into them. So some of the later models of the ODR1 have a switch that they have a little battery compartment on. And when you open it, there's a little switch inside that you can stick your finger or a screwdriver in, flip it over, and it puts a bass cut. Now, that seems like a missed opportunity. And sure enough, on the Mini, so this is the Mini version 2, are we calling it? Is that what we're going with? Yeah, this is actually called the ODR Mini 2. And this has a knob on it which handles the bass cut, which sounds like absolutely the right way to do things. So there are large versions that have the bass cut knob and that also have an extra gain setting, and that also have a setting that enables you to switch from the buffered bypass to true bypass. The mini pedal has true bypass and the bass cut knob. So it looks as though this should do round about exactly what I want it to. And these things in the UK at this moment in time are about 70 quid. So it's made in China pedal, German design, and it's a bit of a bargain if it does what I want it to. So a couple of observations about this. One, when I took it out of the box, it was a bit lighter than I thought it was going to be. I'd sort of expected it to weigh in like an exotic EP booster or something like that. It's not. It's much lighter than that. The switch does sound a little bit tinny, probably because the case is also a little bit maybe thinner than you'd expect it to be. But it's got some nice design features on it. On the bottom, you've got little rubber feet, and you've also got these brackets, and you can loosen the screws that hold them on, swing the brackets out, and then you can screw this thing onto your pedal board, which I think is a genius idea that just about everybody really ought to do. So it's not the heaviest build pedal, but I don't break things as a rule. It's going on a pedal board. It's not going to be kicked around a stage and played football with. So let's get on and see what it actually sounds like. So there you go, ODR Mini 2 into a Marshall. Now I quite like this pedal. A couple of things I noticed about it. One, when I played it in the room, I tended to have more aggressive settings. I would tend to have the spectrum control above midday, a little bit more gain, maybe a little bit more bass cut on it. When I had it all plugged in with the reactive load, so that you kind of got that microscopic close-up of the sound, and a similar thing happens when you put a microphone on a speaker cabinet close-up. I found that I was backing things off to try and get a more natural sound out of it. Spectrum a little bit maybe below midday, a little bit less gain, a little bit less bass cut. And that was trying to get the sound to be similar to what was going in, but with maybe a tiny little bit more kind of hair added onto it. Very often when you're recording to put things into a mix or just to make the best sound you can, you end up doing a whole bunch of sculpting, a little bit of a presence boost, cutting some of the mid-range and things like that. But there didn't seem to be a lot of point in taking a pedal that's got spectrum control on it, that does what this claims it does, and then messing up the results with an EQ, making it difficult to hear what's going on. So what you've got is a warts and all basic guitar into pedal into amplifier. Now, I will say, this pedal, I think, has a little bit of a sound to it. I think it's got a little bit of a sheen on it that kind of overlays everything that it does. And I'm not absolutely certain that I think that that is for me. Can't quite put my finger on it, and I need to do a bit more critical listening. But it's a kind of, it almost makes it sound like a pop record. And I can imagine that if you were playing your telly into a Fender on like country pop hits in Nashville, that you would probably absolutely love this pedal. But because in this case we're going into a crunchy amp where you're actually getting some harmonic overtones added onto the sound anyway, I think it might be a bit much. I may be wrong. I need to really sort of get my head into it and try and figure out what I'm hearing. But as a first sort of entry into playing in the world of Nobles, for the class of pedal, for the type of overdrive this is, I'm really quite impressed with that. So I hope that is useful. If it is, maybe give us a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the little bell button and all that good stuff. If there's anything that you would like me to try into a Marshall, maybe stick a comment down below. I'm a little tiny channel, people are not sending me boxes of goodies to try out, but if I have one or can borrow one, I'm happy to do it, and maybe I've got something in a sort of similar vein to something that you are interested in. So look after yourselves, I'll see you next time. I'm Andy Picker, bye for now.